Add to stream. Let's kill. Well, actually, yeah, we're gonna take that out right now. We're gonna put it back in a second until let's get rid of the music. Rock music goes away. Here we are. We're at Friday, September 23rd of 2022. And darn it, man, what a weekend it's gonna be. Just wish I could be at absolutely everything that's taking place this weekend. Can't do it, won't do it, all the rest of that stuff. Choices need to happen. Hey, it's a dog fest at Marjorie Post Park on Saturday. That is in part to benefit Canine Companions. Great organization. They train service dogs, national group, national effort with that one. They are located though here on Long Island, that one facility. So you want to go down to that. For our animal lovers, it's Dog Fest at Marjorie Post Park in Massapequa. Free to attend. You can make a donation. I'm sure they would appreciate it. I know they would. Bunch of vendors that are down there. We're not going to be there for that one. Can't do everything. Did speak to our friends though at Ollie's Angels. We're going to be working with them a little bit closer as we continue to help them with their cause. Ollie's Angels is a place where we've have adopted a couple of dogs from. Ollie's Angels is placing dogs. They're looking to place dogs. These are rescue dogs. Does a great job. Melissa and her team really do a phenomenal job over there. They've been very supportive of our efforts, on this side with the dogs. And then conversely, we're looking to do what we can with them. So another great group. So definitely in the dog fan category as that goes, and with a lot of other things too. It's there's a lot of things that really make a whole lot of sense, and that kind of gets us into over here as to what we're doing. Douglas, good afternoon to you. That kind of gets us into these events that are coming up and everything that I've kind of been talking about here over the past 2.5 years. Yeah, 2.5 years. It was March of 19 that got started with this. March of 2020. I got started doing this thing on a weekday, daily basis. On that, eventually it began with the idea of what we needed to know about COVID. And not that I was the expert in that one, far from it, but there was a whole number of events that were coming up that were, I think, important to attend, especially if you were a business owner, various kinds of businesses, whether you had people coming into your store or not, or whatever, restaurant, da, da, da. And that was, I think information needed to be shared and kind of migrated a bit over the years to obviously, got involved with the car racing and the rest of it. And this is really the important part of it. I got involved with the car racing. But you know what I thought that was? I thought it was just fun and exciting, family event, that kind of thing. And started to really learn about it, learn about what it really took to operate a track, what it really took to actually operate a car. I mean, if you're just looking at it from the outside in, without really knowing, it's like, okay, you're sitting on the racetrack, you're sitting at a light, you're waiting for it to go green. As soon as it goes green, you mash down that gas pedal and go. That's such a small part of it. That's the final outcome of it, granted. But the expertise that goes into it, especially as you become more competitive, is really something else. And it's the same thing holds true too. Same thing with holding an event, hosting an event, creating an event. What goes into the event? The event is the fun part. It's the time and effort that goes into it behind the scenes to make it work. And is there one person standing up that's not taking credit for the event that becomes the face of the event? Many times there is. The amount of people that make it work, countless. And holds true with everything. Had a chance to meet some of the businesses out at the Stony Brook Food Incubator. Met them in a couple of different situations. But there's so much that goes into baking. And then baking as a business versus baking as a hobby. Look, if you're going to make cupcakes and you like doing it for friends and family, you make the cupcakes, all well and good. You go out, you're not really selling them, maybe a little bit. Somebody gives you money for some of the materials, whatever, and that kind of thing. Maybe you are selling them. But if you really want to build a business, The only way to really know how to build a business is to actually start building a business and to understand things from the inside out as that goes. And that was where I really understood a lot more about, the drag racing. And then I've been exposed to a couple of other things, and some of them are just flat out fun that I've gone to in the past. But it's become so much more, as we continue to move forward. So the career aspect of it is really, phenomenal. The food incubator, real quick on that one, the Stony Brook Food Incubator, which happens to be at Epcal Park, is made up of businesses. Yes, it's through Stony Brook University, but the people that are there, they're businesses that are there. They're not students learning. These are businesses growing. Big difference. I think it's great that the students do learn and can participate with different things. That's why I really think these vocational programs are spot on. Really spot on. Well, I was heading out to the track last week. I listened to LI News Radio. Happens to be the station I listen to more than anything else. I don't really listen to that much music. So I listened to that. And Dr. Bonahue was on one of the programs. He is the provost over at Suffolk Community College. And he was talking about their food service program, the bakery program that they have. And one of the things that they did was they built a facility in downtown Riverhead, which is another great thing that's going on in Riverhead, but they built a facility, a bakery in downtown Riverhead where the students could actually learn what it's like to, as he put it, make the donuts. But he actually wasn't talking about physically making a donut. He was talking about what it's like to operate a facility and what it's like to really make the donuts. In other words, everything that went along with it. You could be a great baker. You could be a terrible business person. You want to operate your own bakery, pastry shop, whatever. You got to understand it. You got to know it. Or you got to take on a partner. Or you got to make some of the decisions along the way and some of the concessions along the way. You take on a partner, it's no longer solely your business. You take on the right partner, it could be fantastic. You take on the wrong partner, it's a disaster. A friend of mine actually gave a presentation about what it's like to take on the wrong partner and how it just was a full-blown disaster. Full-blown disaster. I should probably have him on again if we want to talk about partnerships, growth. How do you do things with different people? Because you need to understand not just what can go right. That's the fun part, but what can go wrong. And that's really where it becomes really important to understand things from the inside out. To attend things, you could attend things as a spectator without a doubt. But if you really want to understand what it's like to get something done, take a look at it from the organizer's standpoint. It's so much more complicated. You have to be so much more dedicated, and your team needs to be so much more dedicated. Hey, last general example, I want to go to some of today's slides for this upcoming weekend. But I was involved with a charity bike ride. Oh, good, right? Charity bike ride. It was for a foundation, 501c3 foundation. All good, totally filed properly, 100%. Money was going to go directly to the foundation. Foundation was going to reimburse whatever expenses that went along with, putting on the bike ride. The food stops were there, water stops were there. It was a 65-mile bike ride. It was out on the East End. It's great. Started over at the Riverhead Aquarium, went all the way out the East End, took the ferry, crossed Shelter Island, came back along the South Fork, stayed off of the main roads as much as humanly possible, and do that. Sounds great, right? All donated food, raised money. Life is good. Life is good. Behind the scenes, permits. You need permits from each and every one of those townships to have these bicyclists, on the roads and setting up these food stops, the water stops, getting over on the ferry. You can't just show up with, I don't know what the total was. Let's call it 50 bikers at a clip showing up to get on the ferry. It's you got to coordinate that with the ferry, make sure that they know about it. Can they stop you? I don't know if they could stop you, but need to know. But those permits could stop you. And then safety features that go along with it, making sure that everybody has what they need, maybe porta potties along the way too. Can't just stop into businesses. Then there's also the coordination with all these stuff in advance is the volunteers. Who's going to contact the food companies? Who's going to stay at the tables? Who's going to break down the tables? Who's going to clean up the garbage at the whole thing? Is it easy just to do a charity bike ride? No, it's not. No, it's not. I know for us, we met weeks in it. Actually, I think we met months in advance to make that whole thing work. And then, of course, is the advertising and marketing it, making sure you get people down there, needed riders. Otherwise, it makes no sense to do a ride. But also making sure and doing what you possibly can to help those riders raise money for the cause. Otherwise, if you break even on it, that's a lot of time, energy, and effort to go into something that doesn't work. But how do you know all this stuff? How do you get to know this stuff? I never thought of it in the past. I've done bike rides, the rest of that stuff. Never imagined how complicated it is to actually put an event on. So if you really want to learn something, I mean, really truly learn something, and you're thinking about starting a business, thinking about getting involved in a nonprofit, go, go and just enjoy yourself, see what's going on. Then start to do this. Have a few pointed conversations. So tell me, how much time and energy did you put into getting this event coordinated? But maybe with some of the challenges that you faced. Maybe your business, your expertise, your desire to bolster your resume can help that nonprofit, that event out as they continue to move forward. If it can, great, and you want to do it, great. If it can't and it doesn't help your resume, but you still want to do it, all good. But understand it and understand that putting these things on is a lot more challenging to do, and a lot more gratifying when it happens. But it's a great learning experience. And here's the tie-in. It's a great learning experience. Look, if you're someone who's looking to bolster your resume because you're at someplace or you want to see about going into another industry, that's a great thing to do. Let's go down to the internships. These high school students, maybe college students that need internship credit or want to do things in order, instead of sitting in a classroom, get real life experience. That's what Dr. Bonnevie was talking about when it came to that bakery and doing that. So I've spoken to a couple of people, again, very preliminary, so I don't want to go crazy on making comments over here, but we really try to coordinate some internship programs with different people and get out of the way. It's not my area of expertise, but to make those connections along the way. For me, you know what? It feels good to do. The other side of it too, connects in with different areas that I think are important. And I absolutely believe that our students finding careers as young as possible, finding those things of interest to them as young as possible may make all the sense in the world. The woman I spoke to today, actually today, not long ago, probably about an hour ago, you know, was, the fact that, you might have somebody that just loves bakeries, pastry shops, and things like that, but can't bake for their life. I just loves that. Would love to be the one that's part of the whole thing. Loves the smell of fresh baked pastries as they're going in, but knows they can't bake. But they want to be involved. Maybe they can connect with someone who just loves to bake and really only wants to focus on the baking side of it, the creation side of it. And they go into an internship program. Let's assume they're in a high school class, right? And they join one of these vocational programs that has to do with food service because they really want to own a bakery. And then they come to realize that, yikes, I'm not good at baking. Can they still be involved in a bakery? Absolutely. Because operating a bakery is a full blown business. There's so many different aspects of it that need expertise that's got nothing to do with touching an oven, Nothing to do with powdered sugar, nothing to do with the mixture of all those ingredients. But it's got something to do with creation of a successful business and a business that they care about because they just love those pastry shops. Hey, that's perfect. And the earlier that we could show these students what is possible and where their talents lie, and maybe where their talents don't lie, the better it is. And that's why I'm kind of excited about a few of these things that are coming up this weekend. Some of them outright fun, but a lot of it, once you dig down deep, it's not just outright fun. It's just really super important. All right, so what do we got? Let's scoot over here. So our first event this weekend, that would be tomorrow. And this is racing flat or racing uphill? Well, this one's racing uphill. This is history, my friends. And there's a story behind that one too, which again, very preliminary. So we're going to save that one for another day. But perhaps there's a career involved here too. Port Jefferson, the Port Jeff Hill Climb, it is back. This race goes back to the early 1900s. Early 1900s. And it is over in Port Jefferson. It's right at Danford's. And it starts in Danford's and, on the street, and it goes up the hill to Belterre. And these cars race up the hill to Belterre. If you have never seen anything like this, and chances are you have not, you really should consider going to this. And I got something for you to go to afterwards too. I can't make this one. It's 10 o'clock in the morning and I'm out in Calverton at 11 o'clock. So it just doesn't work for me. But my good friend Kevin Wood is a part of this whole thing. These cars are amazing. You're looking at that car over there. That one goes back to the Vanderbilt Motor Cup, where auto racing began, not just on Long Island, but in the nation over here. Fascinating. The cars that are going to race up the hill, they're a wide variety. You might even see, that number 8 car, the Beast, show up again. It was there last year. Phenomenal. That car actually won the 1909, I got that correct, 1909 and 1910 Vanderbilt Motor Cup races. That's right, Vanderbilt Motor Parkway, Vanderbilt family. They got a couple of museums that are still floating around over here, the Vanderbilt Planetarium and such. Yeah. So he brought the car there last year, and I missed seeing this car run up the hill. What a sight that would have been, but I listened to this thing. No muffler. Cannot bring it out to Calverton unless he puts a muffler on it. But boy, oh boy, what a car. And the Beast is probably an appropriate name. But some of the other cars that are there are just really terrific. And you get a chance to speak to these people. You'll see the businesses that are behind some of these things. It's really incredible. There was one couple that was there, a couple that were dressed in attire, but this one couple in particular dressed in period attire with the car, 1930s, just absolutely incredible. Had an old taxi cab there. A yellow cab, when a yellow cab was a big yellow cab. Phenomenal stuff. So that is taking place. Free to attend. It's too late to register your car to do it. I think that had to begin a couple of weeks ago, but it's Saturday in Port Jeff. Go early this week and find a place to park. But the Saturday in Port Jeff, bring your camera, bring the kids, bring everything on that one. It is which starts at the Village Center, which is right over there by Danford's. From 10 to 2, they run the cars first, right? So you got to get there early to see the cars as they go up the hill. It's one car at a time. It's good, all the rest of that stuff. So a whole lot of fun. Number of businesses down there are supporting it, and they're also live streaming it. So I think I'm going to try to catch it on the live stream as that goes, because I'll be able to, I think, watch that before I get involved in my endeavor for the fall series over here in Calverton. Oh, yes, look at that. Look what we got coming up next. The fall series for Racetrack Net Street begins this weekend, Saturday, Sunday. All the races now are going to be daytime races. They're all going to be from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays for the next number of weekends, for the next 4 weekends, actually. Couple of different things that are going on there is that they have these different shootouts. So they have different kinds of, you have the same style car, or this one is big tire shootout. So the same kind of cars, the same close proximity cars will be racing against each other. 16 car, I believe this is a 16 car shootout, and then they eliminate each other. So you actually really truly have racing against each other in this case. I forget if it was 16 to 32. It might have actually grown to 30 to 32. It's 16 over here. 16 car shootout. They had a small tire shootout, and then they had this one. There's another one coming up, all-wheel drive. Each of these cars have got different things, and it makes it as even up, as possible. But bunch of fun watching that. Most of the racing you're going to see, obviously, there's two cars going against each other, but the racing is more of the drag racing is, it seems to be much more of a personal thing, especially in this kind of thing, because you could bring any car that you'd like to bring. It needs to pass through tech inspection, needs to pass safety equipment. You need a helmet. You need to wear closed shoes, shirt, no tank tops, shirt, and long pants. Doable in most cases, to go and do. If you have one of the faster cars, you need a muffler. One guy came down with a dragster, needed a muffler, put his muffler on the dragster. Really sight to see. The guy was 80 plus years old, racing his dragster down there. Hey, look, everybody's got different kinds of cars. And then the junior dragsters also. How does that tie in with careers in business? Very much so. Because look, it's still an event, just like that charity bike ride was an event. It needs to be coordinated. What could you learn from that? How about event planning? If you're somebody who wants to learn what it's like to put on an event and what it entails and all the different moving pieces, there's a lot going on over here. You got food trucks that need to be coordinated, safety equipment that needs to be coordinated, the facility of the track itself also. We got lighting system, concrete barriers, lighting, which you won't need because this is all daytime going forward. But lighting, the PA system, there's an ambulance that is there. There's a fire truck. The fire department is there too. All that stuff needs to be coordinated. That's event planning. And regardless of whatever kind of event you might want to plan in the future, understanding these different moving pieces are a part of it. Understanding employees versus volunteers and doing that whole thing. What goes on to it? Food trucks. Want to learn something from the food trucks? Heinz Enterprises. Best example of that one. Heinz Enterprises goes out of their way to hire students from the Riverhead High School to operate the truck. What are they learning? Quite a bit. Learning what it's like to prepare food, obviously, what it's like to run a business. It is a business, it's going on there. What it's like on inventory, that gets to be a little bit trickier, right? Because it's a food truck, so they have food, but you are cooking food or defrosting food. It's got shelf life much shorter. There's an ice cream truck there too, but the ice cream truck, it's always frozen, so shelf life is not as big of a deal. In the food trucks that are serving fresh food, inventory, much bigger deal. Great learning experience for anybody that's thinking about going into the food business. Bakery, the shelf life you got to talk about there. Bagel shop, anything like that, anything. There's a lot to learn as that goes along. Let alone the actual food truck itself. I mean the truck itself. Making sure that it's got the logos, emblems, very clear as to what the food is, and it fits the whole thing. The decorating, the emblems, the marketing, PR, right there. PR. Maybe that's more at the track marketing. It's different. It's not website anymore. It's the food truck. The food truck is what is going to entice people to come over there and take a look at the menu. Font size. And there's so many things that go along with it. So that becomes a great learning experience. Where will that go? Time will tell. But there's aspects of that also. All right, last thing coming up is this. All right. And here's the thing. This is the tie-in with all of this. Yeah, going to these events are fun. Yes, absolutely the learning experience is there. But here's the one thing that has to happen. If you're a student or you know that you want to make a transition and you want to learn about something, the first thing you need to know is that you actually want to learn about something. You have to understand that you have an interest in something. And for many of these things, and the more successful you are, the stronger that interest needs to be because you will run into speed bumps. And those speed bumps can either become bigger or smaller. It all depends upon your determination. How much are you willing to learn? How much pain are you willing to go through in order to go and pursue that career? But you have to know you want to do it in the first place. And that's where these things come in and are so important. So, October 19th, this is a Growth Career Roundtable event. Here's the story with it. I volunteer with Career Employment Options. I think they're a great group. What they do is they coordinate these high school career days at many of the schools on Long Island. I've been asked to make the opening comments at many of these things, and I continue to do that where I'm asked to do it and can do it, of course. But what they're looking to accomplish, this is ninth graders for this one, what they're looking to accomplish at these events is not to convince a student that, hey, my business is great or my industry is great, you should do this. What they're looking to do on these things is to let the students come to their own conclusion. It's like, hey, that sounds interesting. That's something I want to learn a little bit more about. So this is not a sales pitch day about, hey, my business is great, you need to come with me. This is not a job fair day where we want you to work with us, right? What this is this is a real, very realistic day. Because when you have a chance to speak to the students, you're telling them what it's like to actually work in your business, in your industry. That's the good side of it, the bad side of it, and the realistic side of it. Because no matter how you cut it, if you love making donuts and you want to have a bakery shop, you have to have a very clear understanding of what it's like to work with the public, what it's like to work with inventory, and what it's like to work in that industry with that business as a lifestyle. And that's could very well be the most important thing of it all. I speak to the professional speakers. They're traveling 75% of the year, they're traveling someplace. They're not sleeping at home. They're sleeping in a hotel somewhere, traveling all around the world. Is it exciting? Is it a chance for them to see different places? Yeah, absolutely, it's exciting. If that excites you, if you prefer to be at home more so, if you've got kids, family, whatever, you know what? Then that's not the lifestyle for you. If you enjoy sleeping till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, hey, a bakery may not be the thing for you. Maybe a restaurant is, but then you're up until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. You got to figure out that lifestyle. Get a chance to know everything. So that's what I like to see happen with those businesses that are there. Talk realistic. Tell them what's good. Tell them what's bad. Tell them what that lifestyle is like to be in your business. And if you're thinking about going and doing something new and different, you've got to look at things in that respect. What is it really like? What is the big picture? Not what is the joyous part of it? Oh, I can make $1 million doing this. But what do you have to go through in order for you to make that $1 million or for you to find your own level of success, whatever that might be? Do it. All right, listen, have a fun time doing it, no matter what it is you do. Doug, Karen, thanks for joining me here today. I'm so looking forward to this weekend. I wish the folks over in Port Jeff at the Hill Climb the very best. Sorry I can't make it, but darn it, man, if you go, take photos. That's going to be a good one. Hopefully we'll be able to watch that one streaming, and the link is on there. You know, as you can do, I think it's Port Jeff. Port Jeff. Yeah, I'm sure you'll be able to find it. You know, that's good. I'll be out at the racetrack, not street. Looking forward to that whole thing. Got to practice my announcing skills, really trying to nail it on a more professional level. I've been working through a few things there. So that's my goal over the weekend with that one. And then we'll see in October, hopefully, over at the Mauritius High School to speak to those ninth grade students. Figure it out for yourself where you want to go, what you want to do, the rest of that stuff. You'll pull the right people along with you. You'll attract the right people to make your goal a very much a reality for you and their aspect of your goal a reality for them. That's where teamwork really comes into play. And how do you let people know what you want to do? I give you a hint. You do three things. You speak well, you speak often, and you live inspired. That's all there is to it. Have a great weekend.